My first Universal horror movie that I had seen was Frankenstein when I was 6 years old, and it really had a big impact on me. I mean, just seeing the monster when he first walked through the door, it was pretty impactful, and I thought it was just the coolest thing, the emotions that I was feeling, the sense of excitement, the suspense. It was really, really different from a lot of the other types of movies I had been exposed to at that point. I eventually got to all the other classic Universal horror movies, and the obsession started. My name is Kirk Hammett. I play lead guitar in a band called Metallica, and I am also a huge collector of horror movie memorabilia, artwork, books, toys. I collect anything that's related to horror movies from the turn of the century to present day. My favorite genre to collect is the movie posters, and they're super, super rare, really, really hard to find, and beautiful, and just a marvel to look at. I'm basically a daydreamer. I always have been, and when I pick up my guitar, which is, the most ready way for me to express myself and my feelings, I have a tendency to play stuff that's dark and just haunting and in a minor key. I definitely attribute that to my earlier influence of the horror genre. It was not just the movies, but it was also books. I was way into Edgar Allan Poe when I was a child. I also read a lot of monster magazines and a lot of horror comic books too. Basically, for the next 8-10 years or so, my whole life revolved around playing guitar and playing in a band and being a musician and making a living. But the second I got some disposable income, I went straight back to that comic shop and started buying a lot of old vintage comics that I'd wanted for a long time. I was finally able to buy. And then all of a sudden, I had a collection, and I put it up on the shelf, and it looked great. And it just kind of snowballed. But the second I put up that one movie poster, it really just kind of dominated the entire room. I saw the film, I think I was maybe 6 or 7, and Boris Karloff's portrayal as the mummy Imhotep was mesmerizing to me. I'll never forget how deep and hollow his eyes looked. There are 3 posters that are known to have survived. I had one of the 3. I bought it, I would say, about almost 20 years ago. The thing with movie posters is you just can't walk into a store and say, I want a mummy poster. They're discovered, they're found, and the reason why they're so rare is the classic line, no one thought they'd be of any value as time went on. They're just considered pieces of paper to advertise a movie, and so people didn't really even think about keeping them. The posters from the 20s up to about 1935, they're brilliant looking. They have a romantic quality to them. Romance movies were the biggest genre at that time. Basically, The Mummy is a love story wrapped up in a kind of horror theme, and so even the posters were designed around some sort of like a romantic sort of interlude or exchange. It's very interesting because Zita Johann, she looks like she's actually offering herself up to the mummy, but when you watch the movie, it's anything but that. Also, this style of poster, the way it's printed, it's called a stone lithography, which is a lost art. And what it is it's actual paint applied to pieces of stone and using it to print. And so that's why, if you look closely at that poster, it has texture. It has a stipulation. And, the layering of the color, too, gives it just a real kind of, like, surrealistic quality that I really, really just love. This poster's been very well kept, very well preserved, and the color on it is pretty amazing, I have to say. This is probably the best example in terms of true representation of color. There's absolutely no reference whatsoever that the mummy is green other than this movie poster and lobby cards. And the reason why he's green is because Karloff's makeup was green so that when it was filmed on black and white, it would look a shade of gray. And so this artist was on the set and was able to see that Karloff was green, and then they would go sketch out the illustration and paint it out in whatever appropriate colors that were in their notes. I think my appreciation for it grows when I see other people seeing the collection and getting a real kind of pleasure just observing it and getting something out of it. I put out a book called Too Much Horror Business. It's about my collection, and a copy of the book ended up at the Peabody Essex Museum, and they liked what they saw, and so they invited the collection over to become an exhibition, which was really fantastic for me because it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. And also, it was the first major museum exhibition of movie posters. And so now it's moved to the Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto. It's going to be great because the museum looks like a huge haunted house. And I can't wait for it to be in there. To see these posters together, I mean, the synergy that they have when you see a whole wall of them is amazing. It's spectacular. It's like a flood of just art and sensation and just color, and it's amazing. For me, I get blown away.